It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today will be all about the Atlanta Falcons as we start to preview the upcoming 2021 NFL season. We'll take a look at some training camp quick hits, as well as some reasons for optimism and causes for concern, in addition to our offensive and defensive positional breakdowns. But first, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Falcons season as we go into our 4-minute offense. The Atlanta Falcons have a new head coach and former Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, a position he's held for the last 2 seasons. And prior to that, he was a tight ends coach and quality control coach within the organization since 2011. The last 2 seasons, we've seen the Titans offense become sort of a juggernaut bully based off their run game and their play action passes, which helped result into 2 strong seasons in Tennessee that saw the Titans get to the AFC title game in 2019. The hope is that Smith can get the Falcons franchise back on the right track and heading into the right direction, as it's been all downhill since their Super Bowl appearance in 2016. As is the case with a new head coaching hire, there is usually a new general manager hire as well, and that was the case with the Falcons bringing in longtime Saints executive Terry Fontenot to assume those duties. Fontenot takes over for Thomas Dimitroff and has been widely regarded and respected as a great and brilliant football mind who has a strong eye for talent. You think about how those Saints have been able to find cast-offs from other NFL teams and then become significant contributors on that Saints roster. Well, as the director of pro scouting for 7 years, that was all Terry Fontenot's work. Crossing enemy lines, Falcon owner Arthur Blank hopes to create that same success by plucking Fontenot from a division rival. In the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft, Fontenot's first selection was a really good one as he grabbed tight end Kyle Pitts out of Florida. Now, Pitts is viewed as a can't-miss prospect type, one who is an instant matchup problem out there on the field. And with Julio Jones out of the picture, the question then becomes whether or not he'll be more of a receiver or a traditional tight end. I think in the Falcons' case, the answer will depend on a particular matchup that particular week, which is why Pitts was so highly thought of throughout the entire draft process. He should have an immediate impact in Atlanta. Gone is Todd Gurley, and the Falcons brought in Mike Davis from the Carolina Panthers in free agency to assume the starting tailback role. This could be an example of Terry Fontenot taking an unheralded player off of a team and turning him into a bona fide stud with the Falcons. It would seem that that's the plan, as the Falcons didn't select a running back in the 2021 draft, and Davis is coming off of a season where he filled in admirably for an injured Christian McCaffrey, and head coach Arthur Smith will look to him to be the foundational back on offense that'll seek to bully people with their run game. Matt Ryan can still play at a high enough level to get a team where they want to be. He's coming off his second consecutive season of leading the NFL in completions, almost with identical numbers in 408 and 407 respectively. At 36 years old, the proverbial clock is ticking, and he's hoping that he doesn't have to lead the league in pass attempts once again this year, and is hoping to extend that career to the end of his current contract. Atlanta didn't select his successor in the draft. Instead, they opted for Kyle Pitts to help extend Ryan's career. So we'll see if that'll end up being the case. Now, they did sign veteran A.J. McCarron to back him up, and undrafted rookie free agent Felipe Franks out of Arkansas brings a strong arm and some upside that'll give Arthur Smith a workworthable prospect to groom. The running back room will be fascinating to watch this season as Mike Davis assumes the role as the starter and will be the lead back in his offense. He started 12 games last year for the Panthers and will finally go into an NFL season as the unquestioned starter at the position. And the Falcons didn't do much to challenge that thought process throughout the draft, as no back was selected. However, they do have 2 intriguing undrafted rookie free agents in Javian Hawkins out of Louisville and Caleb Huntley out of Ball State. Hawkins is a slasher who has breakaway speed, giving them something that they don't have currently in the backfield, and Huntley is a short area burst guy with bullish power that's honestly very similar to that of Mike Davis. Cordero Patterson was brought in this offseason, but he's more of a specialist in the truest form of the word, being their day one kickoff returner and however they see fit to utilize him on offense. Quadri Allison is the only holdover from the previous regime that'll vie for opportunities as well. Without Julio Jones, the Falcons are banking on Calvin Ridley to take an even bigger step forward this year and become the #1 option in the passing game. Ridley has been trending that way since arriving in Atlanta, as he led the team in receiving last season with 90 receptions for just over 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. The hope is that Russell Gage, who was second in all of those categories except touchdowns, will continue to grow his game and blossom into a strong #2. After that is where things get interesting at the position. Look for rookie 6th-round pick Frank Darby out of Arizona State to get first crack at that role, as he was a solid prospect coming out of college. He's got the ability to get open and has tremendous hands and figures to be a strong possession-type wideout within this offense. Alameda Zacchaeus gives them a Swiss Army knife type player that can be utilized in a multitude of ways. At tight end is a strong suit where you factor in Kyle Pitts and both Hayden Hurst, with Pitts being more likely to assume that third receiver role initially as a rookie. I would also expect him to serve as a big slot for the Falcons. Hurst actually finished second on the team in receiving touchdowns with 6 and is still a viable option at the position because of his ability to stretch the defense. Atlanta is expecting this unit to make major strides in 2021. Left tackle Jake Matthews and guard Chris Lindstrom are rock-solid players, with right tackle Caleb McGarry trending in that direction as well. He's solid in the run game and is starting to tighten up his consistency in pass pro. Center Matt Hennessy got valuable minutes last year, starting 2 games as a rookie, and figures to take a step forward. Jalen Mayfield, the rookie 3rd-round pick out of Michigan, figures to be a starter at left guard, perhaps competing with Willie Beavers, who can also play tackle, and Willie Wright. 4th-round pick Drew Dahlman out of Stanford and Josh Andrews give them depth on the interior, with 4th-year player Matt Gano providing depth at tackle. Now, Gano has quietly developed into a solid rotational player at the position since coming out of Division III Wesley. The Falcons' defensive line will be under the microscope this year, as they want to be significantly better than 2020's output. Grady Jarrett, the defensive tackle, is a Pro Bowl player and one of the best in the NFL at his position. He and fellow defensive tackle Tyler Davidson are 2 players that Dean Pease, the new defensive coordinator, should feel comfortable with going into a game. And if Marlon Davidson, last year's 2nd-round pick out of Auburn, can't continue to show growth within his game, he'd be another one along with Deidre Sinnett, who I'm still a big fan of. Now, on the edges is where they're looking to get much better. Dante Fowler Jr. re-signed with the Atlanta Falcons and hopes to be their premier rusher, but outside of that 2019 11.5 sack season he had with the Rams, he hasn't quite been that type of player. And while Steven Means, Jacob Tuyati, Mariner, and John Kaminsky are high-effort guys, no one really truly threatens you off the corner. They also brought in Jonathan Bullard in free agency to compete on the edge as well. Now, the lack of star power at the position does open the door for 2 rookies in Taquan Graham out of Texas and Adekembo Ogunniyi out of Notre Dame to fly up the depth chart. Atlanta is in much better position at linebacker than they are up front, with both Deion Jones and Foye Oluokun as their starters. Both finished with over 100 tackles and 2 interceptions last season. I was really a big fan of Michael Walker's tape coming out of Fresno State, and as a rookie, he proved to be a strong coverage player, giving them more flexibility and athleticism at the position. These 3 guys helped spearhead what should be a strong back 7 in 2021, and what could be potentially a strong front 7 if the defensive line comes ready to play, and allowing these guys free reign to the football to consistently make plays like they've been able to do since they stepped foot in Atlanta. A.J. Terrell was their 1st-round pick last year, and after an early struggle, he turned in a fine rookie season that saw him get significantly better as the season went on. Atlanta went to work on his unit to continue to get even better around him. On the corner specifically, they hope that both Kendall Sheffield and Isaiah Oliver can turn in the type of consistency that we saw from Terrell toward the back end of the season. Both could be challenged this year by free agent signee Fabian Moreau and rookie 4th-round pick Darren Hall out of San Diego State. Moreau is much more consistent as a man corner, while Hall has the versatile game to play legitimately anywhere in the secondary, bringing good instincts and ball skills to the position. He could end up starting inside even as a slot corner. I also wouldn't count out fellow rookie Avery Williams finding a role within the secondary in addition to his role as a punt returner. Now, at safety, expect a big-time rookie season from 2nd-round pick Richie Grant, who has the ability to play either safety spot. He's solid in coverage and explosive tackler with top-tier ball skills. He's a plug-and-play guy that instantly makes them better. Deron Harmon and Eric Harris were signed to provide veteran depth at the position, but I would expect Jalen Hawkins to get every opportunity to start alongside Grant. I thought he played well last year when given the chance to play, and they retooled the back end this offseason, and I'm excited to see how these improvements take shape. One of the major reasons for optimism for Atlanta is the fact that they have talented skill players. We talked about Calvin Ridley and the growth that Russell Gage made playing a lot last season. Kyle Pitts coming in at tight end along with Hayden Hurst. They have a lot of optimism on offense because of those talented skill players around a very good quarterback in Matt Ryan. And the offensive line is trending in the right direction. They're trending upwards. I think we'll see a much improved offensive line for Atlanta this upcoming season. And at defensive back seven, I talked about it just a few minutes ago, the linebackers are A+ excellent. And on the back end, improvements with what they've made in the draft for free agency gives you a ton of optimism about the defensive improvements in 2021. A cause for concern would be if the defensive line doesn't show that consistency. I think on the interior, they're much better than what they are out on the edges, but they need all units to be on the same page if they want to have success. And will they have that dependable run game? I know we talked about Mike Davis and what he did last year stepping in. Can he handle being that full-time feature back within this offense? But behind an improving offensive line, I can get why people have some optimism, but I can also understand holistically why there are some concerns. Now let's take a look at some training camp quick hits, and we'll start with my camp surprises on both sides of the ball. Javian Hawkins will surprise at running back, being exactly what they need in his offense. A guy that can put the ball in the paint, explosive home run hitter that pairs up well with Mike Davis. I also think people will be shocked at how solid Frank Darby is as a receiver. He was my number one inside receiver. I think he's going to be that big slot receiver for the Falcons this season. And keep an eye out for Dwayne Johnson Jr., another San Diego State prospect that can play strong safety, can even serve as a nickel linebacker. He's going to surprise people with his versatility this training camp. Rookie impact player is an obvious one. Kyle Pitts should have a day one impact, should be on many all-rookie teams, might even flirt with a Pro Bowl this season. And Richie Grant, to me, was someone that I compared to Brian Dawkins. I just think that he's phenomenal and versatile in everything that he does. Should be an immediate impact player on defense, as well as Darren Hall, who can play safety or corner. Either way, you want him out there on your field helping out your defense. The biggest X factor this season offensively will be Russell Gage. I talked about it earlier. Him stepping up and being that bona fide number 2 option alongside Calvin Ridley could help this passing game not miss a beat, even without future Hall of Famer Julio Jones. And on the defensive side of the football, Dante Fowler has to really regain that form that we saw 2 years ago with him being a terror off the edge. If that happens, this defense could really jump significantly in their productivity. And guys that I expect to break out, Matt Hennessy, the center. Look for him to join the ranks of Chris Lindstrom and Jake Matthews, along with Caleb McGarry, as guys that are helping solidify this offensive line for the Falcons. And on defense, look for Marlon Davidson to have a significant jump in his productivity out there up front. Working with Dean Pease, I think we'll get the best out of him. He's a versatile player along the defensive front, and we'll see that transpire this season. The road to the Super Bowl for the Falcons goes as follows. If the run game finds its way like we've seen Arthur Smith do in Tennessee, the Falcons should be very productive on offense, and that defensive line has to excel. There are some pieces up there to work with, but they need everyone to be on the same page. It can't just be defensive tackles thriving while the defensive ends are not doing their job. Everyone has to be together as one unit. If they excel, this defense can definitely take that step forward this year. And they have to win games on special teams. This special teams was atrocious last year, but you expect them to be better with Kadaro Patterson, Avery Williams, some added pieces in the secondary. There's going to be some significant coverage players on special teams, but if they can win games on special teams, they can find themselves getting to the playoffs and going to LA for the Super Bowl. I have the Falcons finishing 4th in the NFC South. I feel like this team is a few years away. They need an impact player as an edge rusher. I don't see that yet on the roster. I think they'll be solid. They'll be competitive because they do have some talent on both sides of the ball, but just not enough in a very tough division to get out of the cellar. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's NFL All 32. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.
It's D-U-E, you tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.